you might expect with object data, it is data relating explicitly to an object. So even if you use the same class as we saw in the last video, where we had people and people2, the data is stored explicitly within the object and not the class, which allows many different instances of the same object, or the same class rather, to be called and to be treated as separate objects. Now, you saw that we were doing something with variables, and we were setting a variable, and once we were doing that, we were able to fetch it using the display method. So we're going to do something similar here, but we're going to give it a scalability. So we create a class called example, and we just do the init. Oops. There we go. And what we need to do here is we're going to pass it something called a keyword argument. But to do this, we do 2 asterisks and then KW args, which stands for keyword arguments. Now, the reason why we do 2 asterisks is because that stands for a dictionary. And so what we're doing here is we're passing in an unspecified amount of parameters, which can be 0 or more, in the form of a dictionary. Now, if we were to pass in just 1 asterisk, it would do it in the form of a tuple. But we want it in the form of a dictionary, so we're going to pass it in with 2 asterisks and then KW args. From here, we're going to do self.variables is equal to, and then we just do KW args. So we don't need to put the asterisks in this part. That just tells it that we're creating it as a actual dictionary. So that's just telling it the type that we want to give it. So KW args is what tells it that we want it to be a dictionary. So now that we've done that, if we go and create another method, and we're going to call this one set vars, for set variables, we have to pass it in self, and we're going to pass it in a key and a value. The reason why I'm using K and V is just to make it easier and shorter to type. However, you can just call it whatever you want. Now, the key is going to be the index value of the array that we're going to create, which is going to be in the self.variables, and the v is going to be the value that we pass in to set it as. Now, the reason why we do this is because if you were to set a variable if you were to set a variable outside of a class, so you were to explicitly set it. For example, if we did var is equal to example, and then if we did var dot variable name is equal to 15, for example, and if we had the variable within here which we could use, then that would make it so that it's hard to keep track of. So the reason why we're doing a getter and a setter function is to make it so that variables can be set easily, and we can keep track of them, and it makes things much easier to control and manage once you get to bigger programs being written. So what we have here is we're setting a function, or we're creating a function which will set all of the values, all of the variables that we need for this program with only the use of 2 functions, one to set and one to get. Whereas previously we might have done it where we set and we declared each one individually. However, once you get to say more than 5 variables, then it gets out of hand and your program gets exceedingly large unnecessarily. So what we are going to do is we're going to pass in the key and the value, and what we're going to do here is we're going to do self.variables, and because it is a dictionary which we're going to create, because the KWARGS is a form of a dictionary being set to variables, so variables is essentially an array or a dictionary, so we can declare it using the square brackets as we learnt earlier on within the course, and we can make it equal to the value. So that's all we need to do for that. And then for the get vars, all we need to do is pass in the key, and we can fetch the variable that we need based on that. So self.variables.get, and that will take 2 parameters, and that is a function which is related to being a dictionary. .get is what we can use in a dictionary to find a certain value and get it back. So what we would use here is we'd use k, then do a comma, and this is the default value, so we're just going to pass none. So if the variable which we're looking for is not found, then it just returns none. We need to add a return to this as well. So if we were to show this and do var.get vars, and then I was to create or to ask for Alex, if we were to run this, oh sorry, I need to print this. So if we were to run this, you'll see that we get none because the variable has not been set. However, if we were to set the variable, so var.set vars, and I was to do Alex, actually I should change this to name, and the name is going to be the value of Alex. So we're just going to search for name, and if we run this, you'll see that Alex is returned because that is the value on which we are looking for. So, as you can see, everything that we would have previously had to do if for setting and getting variables can now be done with just two functions and the kwargs here. So as we can also do extra things, so I'll do age is equal to, and that's 17, and I can do location is equal to, and then I'll just put UK. Now if I was to again print var.get vars and location, and if I was to run that again, oops, save that, run it. Oh yeah, sorry. The mistake here is that we shouldn't have these quotes around the actual data dictionary entries, and the reason for that is because we actually are setting these as being not a string but a sort of a location. So if we remove the quotes around the age and the location and we run this again, you'll see that we get the right answers out. So here we're setting the dictionary values for kwargs as being age and location, and we can fetch location, and if we change that to age, we could fetch the age as well. Sorry. We can fetch the age as well, and so as you can see, we can mess around, and this is scalable because all we need to do is pass in the variables here, or we can set them using this as well. So there's two different ways in which you can set variables. We don't have to declare how many variables are being set, and we can fetch all of them or any of them that we wish. So that is how you get proper scalability whilst using object-oriented programming within Python. So thank you for watching, and I will see you soon.